Hi, I'm Stacie.
And I'm Kristi. Welcome to Art After Dark. In this very first episode, Stacie and I are diving into the messy and real side of balancing a full-time job with our creative passions. We chat about how we switch gears from our day jobs to our art businesses, the struggles of juggling multiple roles, and why sometimes embracing the slowness is the key to finding joy in it all. Whether you're a fellow artist or just looking to hear some honest conversation about the grind, this episode is for you. So grab your favorite drink and join us as we build this plane while it's flying.
Kristi,
Stacie!
we're doing a thing.
We are doing a thing.
We don't know what this thing is, but we're doing it.
No, we are definitely building this plane while it is in the air.
Oh my God, it's totally in the air. just like,
yeah. It's still flying. It's not crashing yet.
No, we're not into crashes. We're flying high.
Or at least gliding, right?
Gliding. Coasting, gliding, yeah.
I like gliding.
I want to ask you what you have been up to this week.
This week, well, my full-time job has been nuts. We have an enormous project happening where they're like building a whole new wing, and we have to move like hundreds of thousands of books. And so my job now every week is like me fielding all these crazy questions that are like, we need to move this printing press. How do we do that? So it's been rough. It's been a rough week, but I'm here now and I'm really happy about that. So
yeah, I'm excited.
What did you do this week?
This week was a little bit of an anomaly because I didn't work very hard. I took like half of Thursday off to go to a friend's house, and then I just didn't feel like working on Friday, so I didn't. Nice. Which meant that like on Friday night I had like the Sunday scaries because I felt like, oh my God, tomorrow's Monday, but actually no, it was Saturday. So it was really like confusing for me the whole week because I kind of took 2 days off early in the week and I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off. So, but it's just like work. Just work. That's all there is, really.
Yeah.
So, speaking of work, because we both work full-time jobs in addition to trying to do this thing that we call our art business, how do you switch gears from like your day job to your night job or your art making practice or the things that you do for your art business?
Well, I'll just say not well. It's messy. It's always messy and sometimes a little frantic. So I tend to like the stuff that's the fun, the actual art making stuff. I do that stuff on the weekend, like all the real medium stuff, because I can't haul that around. I've tried bringing like sketchbooks to work and it doesn't work very well for me. And so so I do that part on the weekend. I try my best to like set up tasks that I can do in the little bits of time during my job that like I can do computer work, right? Like I can, like right now I'm working on my Etsy store. And so I will like do the SEO and write the listing descriptions during my lunch break, or I tend to have like an hour or maybe 2 hours after work. That's like do whatever I want time. So I will set myself up to be able to do that kind of work during the week. Or I will do like iPad art sometimes during my lunch if I'm like working on something I'm excited about, but I really let my excitement guide that. I don't like force myself to do that kind of artwork because for me, if I'm not excited about it, then I just, I like don't love doing it. I put it off. And then when I am doing it, I just spend the whole time kind of begrudgingly doing it.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Yeah. So that's kind of how I switch around. And I tend to just know every week that I have like either some of my break and some of my lunch, and then this like hour, perhaps 2 hours after work. And so I know, like, I basically know my boundaries, I know my limitations, and I work with them as best I can.
That's very good. You're a better person than I am.
Oh no, I'm like I said, I don't do it well all the time. And then I do find that sometimes, like, okay, yesterday I had all these ideas. I had this like brain dump list of stuff I wanted to do this weekend for my business. And then yesterday, Catherine and I started repotting a bunch of our plants, and we did that all afternoon. And I was like, kind of annoyed that I didn't get to do the stuff, but then like really happy that my plants looked good. And so I also have to remind myself you can't just do like your work job, your like day job all the time and this other thing you're doing. And if you don't fill your time with these other things that nourish your soul, like I know that's so cheesy to say, but things that do like spark your creativity, things that make your relationships better, I have to remember to do those things, which part of me feels guilt that I even have to remember, but
Yeah.
I'll just set that aside.
Yeah. Yeah. Another
Um,
episode. Another episode.
that's kind of how I go into different modes.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I am terrible at it, but one thing that I've started to, because I also mostly work from home for my day job. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I am a studio director for an artist who is based in Madrid, but he also has a studio in downtown LA. So I share my time mostly working from home, but then when he's in LA, it's a very concentrated amount of time that we're spending together. And it's like there's not a lot of time for other things. So, in one sense, my workflow ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's a lot of work I can just do from home, which is great. And other times I'm out running around with him and there's no time for home stuff. But because I work from home, I sit at this desk. I could
Mm-hmm.
literally be at this desk from 7:30 in the morning until 9 at night
Wow.
between the two. And that's not to say that it's all productive all the time, but one of the things that I started doing is because I'm sitting at my desk and I've got like art supplies over here and art supplies over there, I get really distracted and I want to be making art. So I just keep like a little notepad next to me. And when ideas for
Mm.
my business come up, I just kind of jot those down because it's like I'm working on this other business, like my real job. I can't work on those other things now, but I don't want to have to try to remember them or think about them. So I just write them down. I mean, the other thing I try to do to help switch gears is take breaks. So,
Mm.
not eating at my desk,
Yeah.
which I think is a big deal and seems really basic, but also just hard to do. It's really
Mm-hmm.
hard for me to just get myself into the kitchen and eat at the table or even eat outside. And then taking walks usually helps
Mm-hmm.
me change my mood. So I'm going from staring at a computer to like seeing nature. I try to walk slowly so that I'm noticing like the plants and the sky and the birds and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to do that. And in terms of planning, I always start out really strong. Every Sunday morning, I will kind of look ahead to the week. I look at the things I want to achieve, and then I start putting them in my calendar, my digital calendar. I also have a just a regular planner that I write in, and I try to put in time blocks where I'm going to be working on specific things that move me forward. But inevitably, when I don't feel like doing them, like it gets to be, 7 o'clock at night, and I'm like, you need to work on this thing for the next hour. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. So then I just move it to the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. And this is like why I haven't sent an email newsletter in like 13 months because I'm like, it just keeps moving because I don't want to do it. So that's a problem. That's a problem. But, work in progress.
Okay, I have two follow-up questions.
Yeah.
When you take your slow walks, which I
Yes.
love that, do you listen to something
Yeah.
like a podcast or like a book or music or whatever?
I listen to a podcast. Sometimes I will listen to like a business podcast, which to me doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like taking a break. So I try not to do that. I am obsessed with a podcast that does Real Housewives recaps because I watch the Real Housewives of every city. And these guys are hilarious. And I'm that crazy person who's like walking on the sidewalk laughing out loud and no one knows
Fantastic.
why. So I tend to listen to that. I have a very hard time just walking without that extra thing. And I know it's probably good for me to do that. And it's uncomfortable when I try it, but I feel like it's actually because it's uncomfortable, it's probably something I should be making more of an effort to do because I think it would help. I don't have to fill every minute with content. Like, I don't have to fill every minute trying to learn something new or get ahead or like, what's this next tip or what's this podcast going to show me on how to do something better? I think I need to work on taking a break on that. So,
Yeah, I completely like the reason I'm asking is because I find myself taking a break, listening to a business podcast, and then having all the, well, now I have to implement all these things. And it just is this perpetual cycle of learning and not doing, but feeling like you're moving forward because you're learning. And lately I've been trying to not listen to those kinds of podcasts. And there was a period, I don't know. I think I can't even remember who recommended this to me, but you can listen to like walking meditations through some of the meditation apps.
mhm.
And when they told me
Mm,
this, I was like, oh, that's a thing. And I like, and the app that I have had like a whole playlist of walking meditations. And so if anybody uses one of those apps, I would recommend checking them out. They're
I
good.
will totally do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would
I
be
was
good.
really surprised. It was very, very good. Okay. My other question. I like the idea of your piece of paper beside you
Yep.
to write down your ideas as they come. Where do you put what's on the piece of paper or some pieces of paper?
No, so I will usually throw it out, but I'm going to show you right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. This is real. This is the number of books that I'm currently. This is not sketchbooks. Okay, that's a whole other
Okay.
can of worms. This is the number of
Okay.
I saw that. I saw that.
I'm
Okay.
I'm mostly looking at all the colors and thinking I love it.
So this is like a bullet journal.
Okay.
Okay. This is my the work that I do for my day job. Only
Right.
things go in there. I don't really know how to explain what this is. This is like a visual diary and a catch-all. It's bigger thoughts and notes. This is a
Mhm.
new one I just got. It's a to-do list. And
I,
I just write in the things
oh,
that I need
cool.
to do, and I haven't done very many. This is my planner. I don't love it.
Very pretty.
And this is my business thing. So this is the one where most of the ideas. I just keep this open on my desk and I just like bleh.
Okay.
Or if I have like a sticky pad or something, and then I'll stick it, like I have one here that says Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre. So, like, I want to make a color chart. Why that
Okay.
came to me in the middle of working on my other job, I don't know. It just did. So I just wrote it down. So they all get filed in some way or another in these.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It's a system. It just has to work for you, right? It doesn't matter what the
Yeah, I mean,
system.
it would be nice to have less, though. I could probably get away with just three. I could probably get away with three. So that's how I do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me all of your notebooks.
Yeah. Again, different from sketchbooks. That's a whole other embarrassing situation. We can save that for another episode.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I do find, and this is also like in part because I'm sitting at my desk. I mean, honestly, aside from going on a little bit of a walk and taking a lunch break and cooking dinner, 7:30 in the morning until 9 at night.
It's a long day.
So yeah, I mean, maybe there's a break for yoga in there at like 9 o'clock,
Ooh, nice.
but basically it's the same. I guess the question is when you finally have this time to work on your business in those 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned in the evenings, and I am like you as well, I save the actual hands on material creation part for the weekends. That's usually what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
like all Saturday and Sunday. When you get to those 2 hours and you're like, I don't really feel motivated, or you're sort of in like a slump, how do you get yourself through that when you finally have the time to work on it, but you're like, I don't really want to do it? What do you do?
Okay. Often I don't. um, I just
Often you
don't work
don't
on
work
it.
on it? Okay.
Yep. I will like go down whatever YouTube rabbit hole I'm currently exploring.
Yeah.
Always dangerous. But I have a list of goals that
Yeah.
are like short and long term. And when I'm really feeling like I don't want to do this stuff, I will look at those goals again. And if I still feel excited about them, then I just kind of remind myself, oh, yeah, you do still want to do this. And if you want to do this, you have to check off these things. And then if it's something that I read my goals and I'm like, oh, actually, I no longer want to do this, it has taken me a long time to give myself permission to let go of goals. Because don't you feel like I've had so many things where I've started or like I've done something and it went pretty well. And so, of course, your inclination is, well, this is working. Why wouldn't I keep doing it?
Yeah.
I've had to talk myself through the idea of just because something's doing really well or even moderately well doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. It doesn't mean it's the right thing for you to do right now.
Hmm.
And I've done that with a couple of things recently where I felt like when I was doing it, I was very excited. It went well. I got lots of great feedback from people. And honestly, after running this, it was this course that I ran, or this group that I ran, I was just like, I have no energy to do anything. It literally sucked the life out of me. And so,
Yeah.
and that meant that then I didn't create any artwork for like, I think it was over
Probably
six
like,
months.
I was going to say 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and so I'm working with a coach, and she and I just had this conversation where she was just like, well, why don't you just like set it aside for a little while? And I can be very like black and white in my thinking. I think you can too.
Totally.
And so I'm like, but if I set it aside, it's gone. It's like I either do it or I don't do it. And she just kind of walked me through, it's okay to set it aside and you can always
Hmm.
pick it back up if you want to and if you don't want to. But initially it felt like a failure. It felt like I had found this thing that was successful. And, a lot of artists tend to, I let my excitement guide me, but also as an artist, that means that you never really dig into something sometimes. And so that is often like looked upon, or frowned upon, really. It's like you should be digging deep into something. And when I decided to not do this thing, I was like, I'm just doing that thing again. I'm just like flitting around.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was so much happier. Once I set it aside, I was just like, whew, that was really hard. But now I've made more art in the last 3 months than I've made in the last year.
Yeah.
It was a
And
big
that brings
change.
you a lot of joy too, to make
Yeah,
that phrase, but
yeah.
it does make you happier to make the artwork. I wonder too, because I know exactly what program you're talking about. And I wonder too, on the one hand, if, the more times you do it, the more manageable it becomes and the easier it will be for
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
But there is a component to your program that is a lot of hands-on, involvement with individual participants. And
Hmm.
that does take up a lot of time and energy. So it makes sense if you're feeling like you can't commit to that. It's totally fine to put that aside also because you've already done it. So you know you can do it. And
Yeah.
what your program is something that people will always want. So you can restart it at any time, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
giving yourself permission when you don't feel like doing something I think it's really important. And I think, it's
Hmm.
also something that I struggle with too is like, well, I said I was going to do this thing. So like, I have to do it no matter what. I can't like not
Yep.
do it. And even if I told nobody or I told a person or 100 people, I feel like I have to do the thing.
Hmm.
And I think I get like pretty rebellious in that sense. Like for me, there's like no in between. It's like I'm either all in or I'm blowing up the world. There's no middle. And I've been kind of in a blow up phase lately, like a big middle finger to every aspect of it. This for no reason other than I'm just so tired. Like I'm tired. Like, so when
Yeah.
something comes up on my calendar and I don't want to do it, part of it is giving yourself, oh God, I hate to say this, but give yourself grace.
I
Give
know.
yourself grace because we're human beings and we're in a world and we're doing the best that we can. I know I'm doing the best I can most of the time. I mean, there's
Hmm.
sometimes I'm not, but one of the things that I try to do though is if it's really important to me and it's really something I want to do, I try to just do that 10-minute trick where it's like, can you
Mm.
do this for 10 minutes? Can you literally, I will
Yeah.
gamify it. I will set a timer on my watch and I will be like, 10 minutes, go. And honestly, almost 100% of the time, I get more done than I thought I would. And I keep
Hmm.
going after that.
Hmm.
So, like, I will, either get myself to a finishing point where I feel comfortable. Yeah, I can like pat myself on the back. I did that. Or I'll just like keep going. And it's like 2 hours later, I've done the thing. So that's like
Yeah.
one thing that I found really works for me. I also try to pay attention to like my energy levels. And I've tried to do this thing where I feel like I'm a morning energy person and I'm worthless like between 3 and 5. Like I can't, I'm just so over it. So I've
Yeah.
tried, because I have a flexible work schedule, to like work on my
Mm.
business stuff in the morning when I feel like I'm firing on all
Mm.
cylinders, and then do my day job stuff later. But I
Yeah.
can't do that because it gives me so much anxiety, because it's like I need to do the day job work to
Yeah.
pay for the things I need. And if I'm putting that aside, that is just like always like in the back of my mind. So
Hmm.
I've tried like playing with my schedule, but I can't do that. So I continue to work my day job in the morning until the afternoon, and then I might take a little siesta or take that
Nice.
walk and then work on the business stuff. But yeah, I think the other thing is just like setting realistic expectations. Like
Yes.
if you, like I said, I mean, like I know that I'm more alert in the morning and I've tried that route and it doesn't work for me. So, what is realistic? What can I realistically accomplish, knowing that whatever the thing is, if it's writing a blog or writing an email, which we know I don't do, we've clarified that, working on a pattern, or, brainstorming some ideas for the next series of gouache paintings or whatever, like those things take more time than I tend to allow. So also just
Hmm.
trying to be realistic about what can I accomplish in this time and what do I have the energy level for, and then just being nicer to myself, which is hard because
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It is hard. I think even setting those, like, what can you accomplish in that amount of time? That's even hard, right? Because I think
Yeah.
we think we can accomplish a lot more in a lot less time than what is realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I also hate the phrase giving yourself grace. I don't know why. It's not like it's a bad thing to say. I feel like
It's
maybe it's just like
beautiful.
it is beautiful, but maybe it's like the clichéness about it now, or like
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it that just like rubs me the wrong way, inexplicably. Like I said, it's a very nice thing to say, but I don't know. Maybe I've just heard it too much.
Yeah.
Um, but it's true. Like I often have to just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've said this to you. Catherine will often, like, when she sees the decibels and like the energy level like vibrating too high, she'll say to me, "This is supposed to be fun," and I'm like, "Yeah." I like have to. It's like ridiculous. I have to like really think about it. I'm like, "Yeah, it is supposed to be fun,"
Yeah.
and also like this isn't supposed to. I'm not supposed to go from doing this in like the like really in the margins, right? Like we're talking maybe an hour, 2 hours a day if I'm lucky, and like if we're really being honest, like when I get home from work, I have that hour, but like
Yeah.
I hang out with my dog for 10 minutes and like
How
watch a
dare you?
YouTube video. Yeah,
How
and like
dare you?
decompress. I know. But how can I expect to have some kind of like, like six-figure business or whatever? A business that can fully support me in a year, when if you add up the number of hours I'm actually working on it in a year, it's like a teeny tiny percentage. And
Yeah.
so I think the embracing the slowness is probably the hardest part, right?
Mm-hmm.
About this whole process is we all live in a society where we want things to happen fast, and we are shown through social media or whatever people succeeding, but we're only shown the end. We didn't see how long it took them to get there or how many failures there were along the way. I have to always remind myself about that.
Yeah. I mean, when I started this in 2020, this is when we met. We were
Yeah.
in a long form course together where we learned how to make patterns in Illustrator. We were
You all know
in,
what it is.
you all know what it's called. And we were in an accountability group together. That's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
I was so jazzed to learn how to make patterns and learn this new business. And I was like, I really believed this is all I have to do. I have to make these patterns, I have to pitch my work, and I'm going to make $100,000 selling patterns, and my life is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Oh my God. It's like 5 years later, four
Yeah.
years later. I'll tell you all. I've received two royalty payments from licensing my artwork. And my first one was like $46 and my second one was $1.92. So we're not even buying cappuccinos with that, okay? Let alone like an oat milk cappuccino in
Right.
Santa Monica. We're not doing that.
Yeah. No. No.
But again, on social media, you just see the highlights, obviously. And I don't want to get into like 4 hours on social media talk, but like
Yeah.
we're presented with all you have to do is this, and this can be you. And it's like, I'm not saying it can't be because for some people it is. But when
Hmm.
you're trying to do this at 1 hour maximum or 2 hours maximum a night, like you're just not going
Yeah.
to get there. And you have to be okay with being chill and like going at your own pace. And I feel like I put so much pressure on myself to make this my thing that for a long time I kept, I mean, not a secret, but like I never advertised that I worked for someone else because I
Mm.
wanted people to believe that I was just like this designer and this artist and I was just making a living doing it. And it's like, no, people, I'm not making a living at this. That doesn't mean I don't want to try and keep trying. And, but
Hmm.
you're right, like focusing on the fun aspect of it because we already have a full time job. Like,
Yeah.
we shouldn't be putting this much pressure on ourselves unless we just plan to like drive ourselves into the ground or
Hmm.
I mean really go for it without a net, which personally doesn't
Ooh,
work for myself.
yeah.
Like
I
I
can't do it.
need security.
Mm.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know your situation, but for me, I'm the primary
Mm.
earner. I'm the person who has the health insurance for everybody. Yeah, the idea of just like jumping off that cliff. I still have doubts even believing that it's possible for me to be able to do that at any point. Um, but I'm okay with that because I feel like I don't have to know I can do it yet, but I've so the mindset shift I've been kind of working with myself on is that my day job allows me to build this thing slowly. My day job affords me to make lots of mistakes and to try lots of things. Whereas if I had like jumped off that cliff and was trying to just do whatever I could do to like, replace my former income, it would be a very different story. I said for years that I didn't want to sell physical products. And then I made a calendar this year and I was like, well, this is fun. Let's do physical products. And like, I can do that because I have this job that affords me the ability to meander my way through this whole process and do
Yeah.
whatever I want. So
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I'm always the person who's, when people say they're going to go get a day job, I'm like, good for you. Like, you're going
Get
to
in
feel
there.
so, yeah, get in there. Like, you're going to feel so different about what you actually like, which roads you go down in your art business, because you'll have this other thing to support you if it goes, maybe not as well as you had hoped. In a lot of ways, it restricts you, but in a lot of ways, it gives you more freedom.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the mindset shift that I've been having. And I have to remind myself a lot about this mindset shift, especially on days when I'm like, this job is going to kill me. Like, I hate it, which is not very many days, but I have days like that.
Sure.
Um, but I think we all do. Even if I had my own business, I'm sure I would have a day like that.
Yeah. Like an
Um,
admin day
my
would
own
be
full time
really,
business.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that mindset, like working on that mindset shift, really changed the way I looked at everything. And like I said, I still have to really remind myself about that sometimes when I'm seeing things happening in other people's businesses and feeling that like I'm
Oh yeah.
behind
Oh,
feeling.
I feel like I live there. Hmm.
Yeah.
I live in that feeling. But you've really helped me. You really helped me with this mindset shift too. As you're working on it,
Mm,
you're really helping me to see that, like, because, like I said, I was sort of keeping it under the radar that I had another job. And it's like, no, actually, there's a reason why I've been in business 5 years and I made under $50 in my licensing. It's because I can only work on it this much. Let's be
yeah.
real. Like, let's be
Yeah.
real. And I don't always want to do like the business side of my business. Like sometimes after you work a full day at your other job, maybe I just want to paint an orange in gouache because that makes me happy and I like the juicy paint and there's nothing like that first glorious brush stroke that you make. Like, and that's okay. And I'm really trying to learn about not putting that kind of pressure on myself to make this the next 7-figure business. I don't even know if I want that. I feel like that's what people are telling me I should want, but I don't actually think that's
Yeah.
what I want. I think I want what a lot of us want. You want to make the work that you love, you want people to receive it and enjoy it and make them happy with it. And if you can make a living and more doing that gives you the freedom and flexibility that you want, like that's great. And I am working towards that. It's just
Hmm.
I feel like now that I'm really embracing this idea that like, no, I actually have a full-time job and I need it and I enjoy it. I'm lucky. Thank God. I mean, I am lucky to have
Yeah.
one that I love. And and it uses all of my background and all of my experience. It's crazy. It's really perfect. So I'm actually feeling like I'm entering this space where it's like, yeah, let's just have fun with this and see where it goes.
That's so good.
So so thank you to you. What else do we want to talk about in this episode about balancing multiple jobs? Is there one nugget of advice that you want to give to someone out there who's like
Mm.
in the same place we are?
Well, I feel like it'd be the things I've already said, which is embrace the slowness
Yeah,
and like just think about all of the things that your job affords you to do.
yeah,
For me, that's what it comes down to.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
agree. Embracing the slowness, also just, setting realistic expectations is probably
Mm.
the one piece of advice. And maybe you won't know what's realistic until you get in there, and that's fine. You just adjust accordingly. But like, maybe you start out and you're like, I'm going to make one pattern a week. That's going to give me 52 patterns by the end of a year. I'm going to pitch my portfolio, to 10 companies every month. Like, okay, then you realize what that actually involves. And so,
Hmm.
again, start wherever you want to start, but then also just pay attention to how it makes you feel. And if you're stressing yourself out and you're overwhelmed, maybe you need to dial it back and kind of set more realistic expectations.
Yeah. Just remember to have fun.
Have fun. Have
I know
fun.
it sounds so cheesy and like ridiculous, but like it's supposed to be fun.
What else is there if not? Like, we already work. Like, this should
Yeah,
be fun.
totally. This is a choice.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess I feel like that's a wrap on this episode.
I think so. Yeah, I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Well,
Thanks for talking about it with me, though.
yeah, thank you. And yeah, guys, stay tuned for whatever comes next. Again, this is just, we're building this plane as it's flying, so we
Yeah.
don't really know.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.